Hi, marketers. This is Dots, and welcome to the Marketing Leadership Podcast. With me here is Teresa Heath-Wareing, Director at Teresa Heath-Wareing Limited, and one of UK's leading marketing influencers. Today, we will discuss escaping the overwhelm of online business marketing operations. I know you guys are ready for this, so let's get it. Teresa, how are you doing?
I am super well and very glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Dots.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an honor having you here, and can't wait to learn more about your insights and wisdom, as I usually would say. But if you've listened to many podcasts, you probably know this is the starting point of you telling us about yourself, your background, your role, and I guess your 15 second of fame, minutes of fame.
Always a
Oh.
good way to start a podcast. So, as you already said, Dots, my name's Teresa Heath-Wareing, and I have basically worked in marketing for a really long time. So, I have now been in
Mhm.
marketing for about 19 years, 9 of them having my own business. And before I had my own business, I did every type of marketing you can imagine. So I did a degree in it first, and then I went and did teeny tiny marketing roles where I had to do everything and there was no budget, right the way up to massive marketing roles in Land Rover UK, doing their corporate marketing, where I had a huge budget and a massive marketing agency team. And then about 9 years ago,
Mm.
I was working as a head of marketing for an agency local to where I live. And I joke that I had an early midlife crisis because I decided to
Uh,
hand my notice in. And at that point, I was a single parent to a 4-year-old girl. And I had no savings and no partner and needed to earn money overnight. So basically, went out there and pitched myself, if you like, as a marketing consultant. And then we built the consultancy to an agency. So we did done for you marketing for businesses. And then I discovered the online world and I loved it. I loved the fact that I could get people and speak to people and help people all over the world. And those people going from big business to smaller businesses, they could make changes really quickly. And obviously, they didn't
yeah.
know a huge amount of stuff. So I could make a big difference in their business. So for the past sort of 7-ish years, I have had my own online business. So I help small business owners from around the world, personal brands. And basically, I do that through a membership, a mastermind, and a one-to-one.
Mm. Interesting, interesting. And yes, you've had a very long and great career. I thought it was when I was studying your profile, 20 something years,
Hey,
but I guess
don't
you're
age
just
me,
being
Dots.
very
Don't
humble.
age.
So we had a guest, we had a similar guest that said this, but not at all. I mean, for what it's worth, I'm in my mid 30s, actually, right at my mid 30s, and looking at things of midlife crisis and things like that. You tend to think about that in this stage. I haven't done marketing for a
Yes,
while, but anyway, I'm still having fun.
good.
Is the way I'll put it there. And another thing that I enjoy about you is the fact that you've rubbed shoulders with a lot of the best voices in marketing.
Mm,
Let me put it this way: a few of them I'm wanting to be on a guest on my podcast. So
I love it.
um, that's good cred. My question is, um, have you again you've told us a lot about how you started your own business, but have you worked with
Mhm.
solopreneurs? I personally would consider myself a solopreneur. I got a couple of subcontracts, of course. But most of my life is as a consultant. And even the fractional marketing space that is, coming up these days, which is almost like a solo
Yes.
marketing solopreneur, if you ask me. How do you help those people build a business and the life they love? My probably whatever you're going to say next is going to make me pack up, go to the beach and enjoy whatever is left of the summer.
Do you know what? It's a really interesting one. When working with solopreneurs, and I do lots of them are solopreneurs. Some of them have a team, some of them don't have a team, lots of them have a
Mhm.
freelance team. But one of the things I talk about is creating a life and a business that you love. But what this kind of really comes down to is when you are in the online space like I am, Or when you are a new business, you go out there and you start looking at other people and going, okay, what should I be doing? How should I be doing it? And there are a lot of voices
Mm,
out there who tell people this is the way you have to be or your business has to be successful. And then they try and
mm,
replicate the thing and they try and do what the other person has done. It doesn't work for them. And then they think they're the problem. So for me, it's about really understanding not just what is it that you love to do and how do you want to show up and how much do you want to work and what do you want to earn to decide what makes you successful so that you're not having to listen to other people. But also, it's a case of what season of life are you in? Because, you know, as I mentioned just a second ago, I started my business when my daughter was 4 and I was a single parent. I am in a very different season of life now when she's 13. And,
mm,
I
mm.
have the time that I can dedicate to my business. So it's about taking all of that into consideration and helping people understand not only what is it that they want, but then when it comes to marketing their business, where do they excel and what do they like to do? Because often people see a marketing tool or a strategy or a tactic and think, oh, that's the latest way. That's the way I've got to be successful. Dancing on TikTok or suddenly jumping on threads or whatever it might be. But actually, if
Yeah.
you don't like that, if that doesn't suit you, if that's not your personality, then that's not gonna do you any favors. So I think for me, it's about empowering people to say, "Do you know what? You don't have to follow everybody else. You don't have to do what everyone else does, and you can be successful choosing to do it the way you do it."
Yeah, I like that. And that's my mantra as well. I am also in a similar space as yourself. I consider myself very
Mhm.
domesticated. And so because of that, every child is just an extra gig. Depending on the share of life. We're speaking off camera, my daughter is 4 as
Mhm.
well at the moment, and she's about to go into a new school and all the things going on. And it's also around the time when I started this personal
Yeah.
brand, which is just a couple of months ago. And I'm starting to ramp up, I'm starting to do all these things. So um at this point, I think what has worked for me is sort of what you said. And what I also, just to add to what you said, what has also worked for me is the power of simplicity.
Yes. Yeah.
There are many times that marketing is just so
Mhm.
overcomplicated. Like, this is what needs to be done to get this to
Yeah.
happen. Let's not, ruminate over it too much or create a bureaucracy, right? So that has really, really helped me a lot to affect as many businesses as possible. I'm also a co-founder in an ad tech solution, which is like an industry changing solution for podcast ad
Mhm.
tech. And again, it's all just down to efficiency, and it's down to removing every, I guess, how do I put it? There is always a balance between trying to improve
Yeah.
quality and bureaucracy. So when you're able to create that balance whereby you are creating quality with attention to detail and you're also very efficient in the way you run your operations, then it really helps a
Yeah.
lot. Then coupled with the things that you have said as
Yeah.
well. So that's good. Thanks for sharing that. Now to the topic at hand. In fact, right into what I just finished saying. In terms of business goals, I need marketing as a means to achieve business goals. People set unrealistic business goals, right? I think sometimes it starts from there. I don't think that's all of it. We'll get into the other aspects later. But I think marketing overload can start from creating unrealistic business goals. But what I've learned about you is a bit of a
Mhm.
paradox, um, which is you are able to help business leaders dream
Mhm.
big and be ambitious, and still with that not create
Yeah.
overload. That I am interested in. So I need you to tell me your secret.
So I think this is really important in the sense of as business owners, as marketers, you want to dream big. You want to think, okay, I'm going to go for these big things. But one thing that we really focus on, and especially when I coach people, is it's about the actions that you're taking. And like you said, and I think marketers are a lot to blame with this. We can overcomplicate everything. There are
Yeah.
God knows how many systems out there, so many funnels, so many strategies, so many tools, so much stuff. So it's about, for me, stripping it right back and sort of starting at the basic and say, okay, so let's say your goal is to reach 1 million downloads on your podcast. Okay, what things can you do today that helps you get towards that? And by kind of
Yeah.
bringing in that time sort of frame, by not saying, okay, this year we're going to grow the podcast, but we take an annual goal, we drop it down to quarters, we drop that quarter down to months and months down to weeks. And by doing that,
Mm.
we can say, okay, well, what could we do today without changing anything else? So obviously,
Mm.
that there's no new funnel, there's no new kind of marketing big thing. Literally today, what could you do? Well, you could go and do an Instagram story and talk about the podcast. You could go and DM some
Yeah.
people and say, would you mind sharing the podcast for me? You could put out an extra episode that would be fairly quick and easy to do. Like, there are so many different things that you could physically do today that just keeps it simple. Yes, by all means, we will bring in the bigger, more strategic, I guess, different roles and tools and things that you can do. But by saying to you, okay, what's the goal and what actions can you take realistically soon? And then targeting yourself on the action, not the goal. Because at the end of the day, you
Mm.
physically can't make 1 million people listen to the podcast. Like, you can do a
Yeah.
lot of actions, and those actions can potentially lead to 1 million people listening to the podcast. But what people do is when they set goals, if they don't hit the goal, then that completely crushes their confidence. It makes them think, who was I kidding? What was I thinking? This isn't going to work. Whereas if you say to yourself, okay, this is the goal I'm setting myself, and I'm setting myself these 3 actions to help get that goal, and you do each of those actions, because that's the only thing you can guarantee is the action you can take. And if you don't hit
Yeah.
that goal, then you can still pride yourself on, well done me, I hit those actions. But now you have something to measure. And that is one of the most important things, which lots of business owners don't necessarily think about doing. But if you take some action, then you have something to look at. So you can look at the action you've taken and go, okay, well, how many podcast listeners did that get me? Well, that only got me 500,000. So do I have to do more of that? Do I drop that idea and do more of this idea? But for me, it's about set the goal, but then set those actions and think about simple stuff first. What could I do today? And start doing those things today. And then as time goes on, they will accumulate, but also then you can start doing the bigger things.
Yeah. I like that. I like that because um, the first thing I'm going to hold on to is breaking down your
Mhm.
objectives. So annual, half year, OKRs, which are mostly quarterly, monthly, and
Yep.
weekly, but also looking at actions as a way to achieve
Yes.
objectives. Something else I may also add to that is relevance as a way to achieve objectives. So from the marketing perspective, if you want to get sales or you want to get views or whatever it is, then it's down to your content sometimes. Don't look at, oh, this person used this thumbnail and got 1 million views, so I'm going to do the same thing. At the base of everything is your content engaging enough? Is your product market fit engaging
Mhm.
enough? We're speaking off mic about, me starting this whole thought leadership thing. And I just, honestly, my approach has been, there are things that marketers aren't talking about right
Mhm.
now that I love or I do, and I talk about them. It might not be the trending thing,
No.
but for those or that alternate audience that is looking for that content, they will always find it. A good example is every Monday I post the top adverts globally. So I've gone as back as 2016, and I have a content schedule where I post the top
Yeah.
ads because that's what I'm always about. In as much as I'm in the B2B world right now, I've also dealt a lot on the client side. So I love a lot of the brand marketing stuff, creating activations and things like that, right? So that I think that it's very, very important. And I also spoke off the mic on how I don't work for the KPIs, because if things really work the way they do, if there is a fit, if there is an anecdotal
Mhm.
fit, then naturally the KPIs will follow. Just like you said, even if you don't hit your goals, you can give yourself a pat on the back, not just because you've created those actions, but you've created those actions that are either strategic, but and also relevant to your audience, from a marketing
Yeah.
perspective. Everybody talks about Mr. Beast these days. I don't know if you know him. I think he just moved his burger business into the UK market, but he's the biggest YouTuber on the planet right now. But not until last year or 2 years ago, it was just around, I believe, 70 million subscribers, and he's been doing YouTube for, I don't know, 12 years at that point, right? With every content you improve, and that has been his case, right? And then something happened, and his subscriber base doubled to 140, 150
Wow.
million, and what I learned from that is this, just in connection with what you said, if you are taking the actions
Yes.
consistently in the marketing space, whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for your brand, as long as you're consistent in it, one day something will go viral and the market will see who you
Yeah.
are. One day something will happen, it will blow up, and then, like they say, from where we come from, you can now say, yes, I have arrived, whether as a personal brand person or a business owner or a marketer. So let me stop my rant there and get back to you,
Well,
Teresa.
and I just want to pick up on that. The consistency piece is so very important. And like I said, what happens is when business owners, marketers are lost as to what to do next, they start looking at all these different areas and go, well, look, they're successful there, and they're successful there, and they're successful there. And yes, every tool you will find someone who is wildly successful. Does that mean you need to do every tool? No, of course not. Like, someone focused just on YouTube, they became really good at YouTube. Someone focused just on TikTok, they're amazing on TikTok. Same for podcasts, same for going live, same for all these different things. And it's not about the tool, it's about the consistency and what they're putting out there. They're putting out content that people want to consume, and they chose one platform to do it, and they showed up every day. And it's a running joke that, like, so my stepson for a long time was like, I want to be a YouTuber. Obviously, every teenage boy wants to be a YouTuber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is.
right? I want to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, so of course, normally most parents would be like, oh, what are you talking about? I live in a world that does online. Like, I get it. Yeah, you could be a YouTuber. And then he kept saying, when I'm a YouTuber, I'm like, you do know you have to record a video. And he looked at me and I was like, you have to start. Well, no, I won't start until. And it's like, no, but the thing is, you're looking at the YouTubers that you love and you want to replicate what they do now, but they didn't start there. They started right at the beginning, filming probably something completely inane and rubbish and terrible compared to what they're doing now, but they started. So I think this is the thing. It's that consistency piece. It's that showing up piece. It's the kind of having the faith that it will happen. For me and my podcast, for the first 9 months, it trickled along. And then at 9 months, it was like a hockey stick in terms of the data. And my assistant at the time and my husband were like, what have you done this month? Like, why is it suddenly got really busy and lots of people are downloading it? And I literally did nothing different. The only thing I could put it down to was consistency. I showed up for 9 months and have done ever since. It's episode 318 or 19 or something crazy like that now. But it's like the consistency paid off. It wasn't the fact that I interviewed one particular person or did particular strategy. It was just the fact that I kept showing up.
Yeah. I was going to mention that as well. Sorry, I put Mr. Beast before you, but I also looked at your.
I'll let you.
I also looked
It's
at
very
your.
popular.
I also looked at your podcast as well and some of the guests that you've interviewed. So you're right about that. And that's, I mean, just looking at that, that was an inspiration to me. The things that I do, even in preparation for episode, is definitely an inspiration to me. But I would like to get more from you in terms of, simplifying marketing strategy or simplifying marketing operations. You've already mentioned a lot of things already. Some of the things that came to my mind is, how your North Star metric. I think you mentioned that, right? What is this objective? This is the objective or set of objectives. Don't make it too complicated. And then you've looked at how you're able to diffuse that through either contributions from other aspects or even breaking it down by period, and the importance of action and consistency, and some of the other things that we've discussed. But yeah, are there other things within your, I guess, anti-overwhelm model for your marketing operations that you can share with us?
I think it's going back to some of those basics that, again, when you are presented with a suite of different amazing tech tools that you can use as a business owner and marketer, we forget about the
Mhm.
basics. So for me, even sending things like emails, my email is one of the most important things that I have, and it's my data and it's people that want to hear from me. So if someone, for instance, so one of my students wanted to launch something and she wasn't quite sure what she wanted
Mhm.
to do or how she wanted to do it. And it was a case of, well, just send an email. Just send an email to your list saying, who would be interested in this? Rather than doing all the work first and then hoping someone would buy it. It's about that kind of, I have this saying in my business that it's, you be the scientist, not the judge. So instead of judging ourselves for, oh, we didn't do this and we didn't that, if something doesn't go well, then the judge would come out and shout at us. Whereas the scientist would go, well, that was interesting. What could that mean? Or why was that? So I think really we need to take a step, because again, that's one of the biggest things that people do is they use overwhelm as a reason not to get started. Like, I would do this thing, I would sell this course, I would start my podcast, I would do a YouTube channel, but I need the right microphone and I'm not sure what system to use and my lighting's wrong and I don't know what the brand's going to look like. And it's like, just start, just literally get on and do it. So action is one of the key most important things. It's just about taking action, because for me, the very first thing that they need to do is take action. So actually, the kind of strategy they need is, let's have some courage to do a thing. And then when they've done it, what worked, what didn't, tweak, move on. What worked, what didn't, tweak, move on, over and over.
Yeah, yeah. And as a strategist myself, I think one of the things I'll continue to preach is the concept of just breaking down a task into little chunks. If you feel overwhelmed, why not break it into little chunks, and then low hanging fruit, as they say, right? Just make a low hanging fruit out of it. Except if you're going to commission me to redo a Pepsi logo, for example, then there's no need to overcomplicate marketing. So because if you ask me to uh revamp a Pepsi logo, even if I know a designer can do that in 2 days, I'll make it so complicated, and I'll probably bill you like $2
At
million
least,
for
at
it.
least.
So those are those kind of scenarios. But I believe if you're listening here, you are either working with a small to mid-sized business, or you own your own small to mid-sized business. So, or you are a personal brand. Those are the people we are speaking to. I will put it that way. Okay, next is in terms of marketing
Mhm.
tactics, right? Marketers equipping themselves with actionable marketing tactics to get closer to their goals. You've mentioned the need for having tactics that are actionable and taking the actions themselves. But from your experience, what are some of the most popular marketing tactics that help businesses get closer to their goal? Whether it's B2B or B2C, I don't care. I personally, as Dots Loves Marketing, cover
Yeah,
both spheres, and D2C, if I would
yeah.
add.
So I think now more than ever, the personal touch is got to be. I mean, it feels wrong saying it's a strategy or a tactic, because it feels like it's disingenuous, and it's not. It's just where you can bring
Uh,
in that personal touch, because we are in this world where it's faceless, and it's shown you the face more, but the problem is we don't know that we can trust it. So we don't know that we can trust what we read
yeah.
online and see online and all that sort of stuff. So for me, the more we can do. So one of the strategies that work really well for me is, I have a membership, and a membership is particularly difficult to sell, if I'm honest, because people don't want to add
Mhm.
another subscription to their monthly bills. And when life gets hard, one of the first things they do, and lots of us do, we start looking at the fact that we've got Netflix and Disney Plus, and I've just got Apple TV and all of those. So then you start going, do I really need all of them? Well, it's the same with business subscriptions. And also, the other thing that happens in my space is there's a lot of people who say one thing and then they deliver another thing. So again, the trust has
Mm.
been lost with some of the experts out there because people get bought into some very smart and not always moral tactics, and they buy the thing
Yeah.
and then they don't deliver on it. So one of the things that works really well for me is I do something called an insider experience where I open up the membership and I say to people, come and take part. Come and see me do my thing. Come and talk to the other members. Come and be on a coaching call where I can coach you and on a mindset session where I can do mindset stuff with you. And I think the fact that they get to hang out with not only me and they get to see me do my thing, but the fact that they get to hang out with the other members, I think is so good because it's so authentic and it's so real and it's that touch point. And again, it's where you can have those conversations. And I think everybody, when they're marketing, they think big numbers. They want all the big numbers. They want to do a webinar when there's hundreds of people on there and thousands of people on there. But the beauty of a smaller group or a smaller list is that you can do those things. And I remember some one-to-one programs that I've done where I was doing a small group program years ago, and I looked at the people
Mm.
who had clicked on the email to look at it, and then I went to their website, recorded a Loom video, and sent it to them to say why I thought they might be a good fit, and it converted at, like, 50%. Like, so those sorts of things where you can do the more individual, high touch, personalized stuff, then brilliant. And like I said, if you are either a business that doesn't need big numbers because you are high level consultant or whatever, or you are starting small and you're looking at the big numbers thinking, if only I had an email list of 20,000 people, or if only I had 500 people on my webinar. Well, the truth is, embrace what you've got because you can do things with your marketing that someone, when they get to that level, can't do.
I like that. I like that. One of the things I also mentioned keys into the concept of community marketing
Mhm.
strategies, which we've had Mark Schaefer on this podcast talking about his book on that. So, and what I also like with what you said, especially with the email list conversion at
Mm.
50%, is that if it's a 4,000 member group, it's going to be like a
Yeah.
5%. Yes, the actual count might be
Mhm.
higher than what the 50% is giving you, but the conversion rate is going to be so
So low.
low. And yeah, and I'm always on for growing from the inside
Mm.
out, really. I think if there's anything to learn from everything that you said on this particular question, that will be it. Like, take advantage of small audience
Yeah.
sizes as long as the engagement rate is very high.
Yeah.
So that
And being
yeah, go
Sorry, I was
ahead,
just gonna
please.
say, and being able to do personal DMs, individually email people, all of those things will lead to a much higher conversion rate than you would ever get. And I think it's Denise Duffield Thomas in one of her books mentions that her email, her uh, sales rate on anything against her email is roughly 0.5%. So 0.5% of people on her email list will buy something from her. Well, and she said that that's
Mm.
pretty much been the same since she had 500 people on her list to 50,000 people on her list. 0.5%. It's teeny tiny. So if you are starting out, you are in probably a very beautiful position to be able to get those higher returns on investment than someone who's got a bigger audience.
Yeah, exactly. Even in my podcast as well, I do have a template, spoiler alert. But the first part of it, there are two parts that I heavily customize. Like, I spend 15 minutes on just one
Yeah.
contact, the beginning, and also when I propose the topic, so that person is aware that some research has been done. So yeah, in the age when the cold email is dead, it's because you don't
Yeah.
personalize. If you personalize, it's going to be great. So thanks for also mentioning that. At the beginning, you also mentioned a lot about technology. We in terms of helping small businesses or online businesses, we have stuff like the Google Service
Mhm.
ads, dynamic shopping ads, ChatGPT, and some of these other ad, solutions that can help businesses run
Yeah.
efficiently without too much higher overheads and things like that. My question is, in the spirit of reducing marketing overwhelm, do you think this whole new tech environment is on the right track to helping people save business
Mm.
resources? Or do you think it's doing that and also causing a future danger that businesses need to be aware of?
Yeah, that's such a good question. That's so good. I think
Yes, we asked a lot of two good questions on this
honestly, that was
podcast, by
really
the
good.
way.
And I think you're so right. I think there is this balance between these systems coming in to help us and then those systems making us
Mm,
even more overwhelmed. So let's take ChatGTP, for
mm,
instance. Now, I have been playing with this
mm,
recently because I didn't look at it for a long time. I'm not one of these people that jumps on the latest thing. So I haven't got on threads. And
mm,
because I am very much,
mm.
I know my time is limited and I haven't got the time to necessarily put across. So a couple of things that are interesting about the ChatGTP is if you need a help to get started or if you want something tweaked, then it can be really, really useful. But the problem is when there is nothing out there that can take over what humans can do completely. So if you think
Mm.
you're going to be able to go write me 10 blogs and on these subjects, then yes, it will do it, no problem. However, it won't be in your tone of voice. There are, and I learned this just the other
Yeah,
day, that um the technology that writes ChatGTP, if you copy it and paste it straight onto your site, Google is able to distinguish what came from there, and therefore they will ignore it from SEO purposes. Whereas the whole point of having
yeah,
blogs is for SEO, or one of the main reasons is for SEO. So it's almost a case of use it for certain things, but then don't expect it can just do everything. So I'm with Kajabi. That's the system that I use, and Kajabi's just got out a load of AI stuff, and it will literally build your course for you. But of course, it puts in there what it wants to put in or what it thinks. But that doesn't fit with what I necessarily wanted or needed. So I think as a guide to help us out, to support us, I think great. It can really help us get off the mark and get going. Or it can help. So one of the things that I've done recently is if I've been writing some emails and I write all my own emails, so I don't have a copywriter who does that. And I've been chucking some of them into Chat GTP and said, improve this email. And some of the stuff it's come back
yeah.
with has been brilliant. But
I do that
yeah, and
too.
some of the stuff it's come back with has been not my tone of voice at all, and I've gone, "That's an absolute hard pass." So, like, doing that because I don't think I don't mind writing my emails, but I'm not sure that I necessarily have the right grammar sometimes, so getting them to do that, great, but I wouldn't get them to write my emails, and I certainly wouldn't copy and paste because it doesn't sound like me. And go back to
Mm,
what I was just saying about the whole personalization because we don't believe these people are real people. Well, that's leading to it. So, and now I think
yeah.
what is happening, and it's funny, someone said just the other day, my social media manager said she was looking at someone else's stuff and she knew that that came from ChatGTP. She said, I can just tell. I could
Wow.
literally hear
Wow.
the language and thought that's not their tone of voice. They've obviously put that into ChatGTP. So I think some of these things, again, if we look at things like Google shopping ads and things like that, they can be excellent, but what I think you need and what is the key bit in all of it is you need a human to help you with it. So I've got one of my team, actually, not my team, sorry, one of the people in my membership, she's a Google shopping expert, and she is able to take what they know and go, yeah, but because your business is this and this and this, do this thing. Whereas that's what the tech can't do. The tech can't tailor it to you as well as it could. Or even, and ChatGTP will learn your tone of voice and you can get it to tell you, or you can tell it what customers you have. But still, there's still that thing that isn't quite right. So I think use them as an assistance. Don't think that I think the day that someone creates an entire course online that they didn't even read or look at is the day that like, yeah, no, please don't do that. So I think we're gonna crave that kind of this has come from a real person more than ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Human to human is very important, and you mentioned some nice, I guess, use cases in here. I think what many people do is they ask ChatGPT to come up with the content for them instead of proofreading the
Yeah.
content. They come up with the content and then they allow the human to edit it. Now that's one approach, right? And I guess it works. But the approach I have done is I pay someone to write the
Mhm.
content and then ask ChatGPT, just like what you did with
Mm.
the email, to improve that based on a few, so it's like either way, both sides. I might go through to the other one at scale. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's better with our system because this ChatGPT can learn the tone of voice of the input content that is processing. And the more of those input content you put there and ask it to look at, the more it learns about your language. And then if you want to say, okay, from scratch, give me something, then if it's the same account or whatever, is able to do that. I think that's how we should take that when it comes to ChatGPT and some of these other things. But yeah, I agree with you. It has to be relevant. It has to have the brand speak, regardless of the tech. But of course, I think it's no question that some of these things already save some people time and some people have been fired, honestly.
Yeah, and and you can you can see and understand in some cases why that might be the case. However, I don't think it'll ever and don't think it should ever completely take over. The other thing that ChatGPT is really good for is if you are I put in and I wrote in there, this is my customer, and then I explained. And obviously, I'm a marketer. I know how to tell them who my customer is. So that's the first hurdle. You got to know who your customer is. And then I wrote all of it. And then I said to ChatGPT, tell me what their problems are. And it told me what their problems were. And again, it was really interesting because, and then I said, tell me what content they would like to see. So it gave me a list of content they'd like to see. And for me, it wasn't rocket science. And it was like, yeah. But I'm a marketer. That's my, my superpower. So for me, that makes sense. But if you're a business owner and you don't know the first place to look and think about what content your perfect customer would want, well, tell something like that what your perfect customer is, and then ask it what content would they be interested in, what social media post might they need, what problems might they have, and then use it as an ideas base, not as a now go and do all of it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Using technology for ideation. That's also a good mention as well. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, this has been interesting so far. Teresa is a very amazing individual. But if you're listening, we are not done. It's the Marketing Leadership Podcast. We will take a very quick commercial break from our sponsor. When we get back, we will put Teresa under the dots rapid fire. And as the ads go on, try say ChatGPT 100 times in a row and see how hard it is. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. The Marketing Leadership Podcast. And here we have Teresa. We've been speaking about removing the overwhelm of business marketing operations. The economy has been changing in the West. We don't know what 2024 will hold. So an episode like this will help you prepare, whether as a business owner, a marketing leader, or even a business leader, to create more impact with less. But before then, a little bit of a fun. So, Teresa, we have 3 questions. You will tell us the truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Are you ready? Okay, good. So the first one is, what is your best marketing KPI? And I don't want to hear sales.
Okay. This is going to sound really cheesy, but does it feel nice? Like if you're doing something and regardless of what KPIs you can get from it, does it actually feel nice that you do it? Then that would be the KPI for me as to whether I did something again.
Yeah. From an internal perspective, that's very good. That's very good. This one is a little bit hard. How long do you use social media every day?
So I am very strict with myself, and I probably, honestly, and you're going to think I'm lying, but I'm not, no more than 30 minutes a day. Honestly, seriously. So I
I wake up every day, I see your post
Yeah.
every single day, and the posts are well
Thank
done.
you.
And
So
30
so
minutes.
I have a team that helps me. So, but all that
Mm,
stuff gets
mm,
scheduled ahead of time. So I don't actually need to
yeah.
go on to social media that much. I literally go on, check my notifications, reply to DMs, and I'm off again. Very strict with it. Very
Uh,
strict,
30 minutes.
honestly.
Wow.
And I don't even
That
look
would
for
be,
fun very much anymore because I think like sometimes, well, I've been doing this for a long time and it just gets a bit exhausting. So yeah, I'm
yeah,
really
yeah.
strict on myself.
Interesting. Mm, that would be a lofty goal for me, but we'll keep that for another episode. Oh, the last question. What is your favorite marketing quote? Some people do say business quotes, but I would assume you have a marketing one.
So the thing that springs to mind with this is there used to be an agency, I don't know if there still is this agency in the UK, and their tagline
Mm,
was a truth well told, right?
mm,
And I really love that because it was basically saying that obviously it has to be the truth. You know, you can't lie in marketing, but they're gonna tell it really well. So it's like, so for instance, I did some training years ago at my daughter, her old school, it was private school, and it was in the middle of nowhere.
mm.
And the the teachers were sort of saying this is a problem because it's hard to get to. So it's like, well, the truth well told is that it's in a beautiful, rural, secluded, safe location. Like you're still saying the truth. You're still saying yes, it's miles away from anywhere, but you're telling it well. So I really like that. I thought that agency did a good job.
Nice, nice, nice. I like that. Before I let you go, just a couple of, actually two questions. As we, continue the discussion here. Um, when it comes to, you know, um, having marketers act on online business
Hmm.
insights, in terms of what is the data coming in from all their marketing and business activities, or what I call the commercial
Hmm.
activities, and how they can use that to scale without creating overwhelm. Is there, at the beginning you had talked about how you can how you help businesses create lofty goals without overwhelm. So what are some of the best practices on how to look at insights and data and make projections without making too high of a projection, too low of a projection? Of course, I know there are different situations for different businesses, but do you have like rules of thumb or rules of the index finger?
So for me, it's about one thing that I see so many people doing is before they start looking at this data, they don't give it enough time. So they
Yeah.
do not allow themselves to consistently do something in order to really see the result and response. So someone will come to me and go, I've posted a classic where someone came to me and said, my lead magnet doesn't work. They'd created a lead magnet for their business. It doesn't work. I said, okay, why do you say it doesn't work? And I had helped them. It was part of a course I'd done. I was like, so I knew it was a good lead magnet. I said, why hasn't it worked? Well, I've only had like 5 opt-ins. I said, okay, cool. Can you tell me how many times you've posted it or where you've shared it? And they ran through and they were like, so I did it once on an Instagram story, I did it once on Facebook, and I did once on Instagram. And I was like, and that's it. And now you want to say that this isn't good enough and you want to do another one. No, you have not done it enough. Like, if you
Yeah.
had said you'd shared it 500 times and only had 4 opt-ins, then I'd have gone, yeah, actually, you might be right. Let's tweak it. But the thing is you haven't given it enough time, and I think that is probably the one thing I see all the time is that they are not giving it enough time. They are trying something, getting very little results that are actual tangible results before they then move on and make a decision that actually that didn't work.
Yeah, that's a good one. And from my training on the customer service side, I think 15% is always a good sample
Mhm.
size. So you need to look at 15% against everything. What is 50% of your customers saying? What is 15% of your followers saying? What is 15% of your website traffic for a particular time saying regarding
Yeah.
this? And if it doesn't get to 15%, don't
Yeah.
move. I think that would be so that's a very good one there. We are still talking about best
Mhm.
practices, and For business owners, I think hiring is still important because there's still a lot of the human inputs
Yeah.
needed. But I guess in order to reduce the overwhelm, people need to be hired on a fractional basis. I'm a fractional guy myself. I work in a company where there are a lot of fractional business leaders or boards and so on and so forth. Um, what are some of your best practices in terms of building that team? That would not become a cost center at the end of the day, and are able to, in some cases, act as what we call a bench. So, for example, they stay with you for a long time. They can help you even
Mm.
manage some aspects of your commercial business or things like that. Um, how do you advise businesses to approach that side of things for marketing?
So one thing that happens a lot in this space again is that people think they can bring one person in, so a virtual assistant, a marketing assistant, whatever, and that one person will be able to do everything. So they'll say to
Yeah,
me, I need a virtual assistant and I need them to write copy, do my KPIs, design a few things, do some video editing. And it's like, where is this superhuman that you are finding here? Because that is not the case. Like, that's not how it works. So that for me has been the
yeah,
problem, that basically they are looking at one person and wanting them to do so many different roles. So for me, it's about with my team, I have very specific people who do very specific things that can do things better than I can
mhm,
do them. So, the
yeah,
podcast editing or video editing or social media like posts or content ideas, I find those people who can do those things. So for me, rather than thinking I need one person to do everything, it's that. And then 2, I treat my team members, even though they're freelance, even though they are not, you know, an employed team member, I treat them as an employee team member. So they get paid holidays, they get paid sick, they
mm, mm,
are part of my world, and they've all worked with me for a really long time, and they're very loyal and they're amazing, and they all get pay rises every so often. And and I think it's about bringing on someone. So I have got an assistant who, from what she could do the day I took her on to what she can do now, is completely different. But she's been with me almost 4
yeah,
years. So I have invested heavily in her education and her knowledge and building her to where she is today. And I've now increased her salary to go along with that as well. So I think, not just seeing them as a freelancer, as someone that, a consultant that you can bring in and really that making that decision that you're going to bring them on and keep them, and that it might be that they are specific to one particular thing in your business. So you might have a team of like 5 6 people, and at one point I did, but each of them did their own specific thing, and that was fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a story about this. I won't say too much on it, but I used to run an agency business unit, and it was just me. I did everything. I don't want to go into everything, but I did everything in terms of managing the agencies, from even to the invoicing and things like that, and account management, strategy, tracking, managing the campaigns
Mhm.
themselves. Managed about 5 clients. But in 3 years, I found it very difficult to be able to scale the revenue of that business unit because I had no time to think of any strategy to increase that or products production, product management,
Yeah.
processes. I had no time. I really. So just to add to what you're saying there, I guess if people need, I guess if there's a meeting in the middle, is separate your strategy roles from your
Mhm.
activity roles for marketing.
Yeah.
So you have a guy that does all the strategy, performance marketing, ads, blah, blah, blah. And then you have those running on the activities, whether it's on content activities and stuff like that. I think that way, if you have one person doing each of that, it is a good
Mm.
start. But if I had that extra one person that could do all the activities and account management and billing, and then I focus more on the strategy,
Mm.
that will have probably
Yeah.
increased the return of that agency business
Yeah.
unit. But that those are one of the big lessons from my career there. But yeah, that's a really, really Great point. Go ahead. You want to
Yeah,
respond
and
to that?
thinking about things that you have to do. So I am my own business. I'm a personal brand. So I can't put one of my
Mm,
team on my podcast. I can't have one of my team go live for me or do a coaching call for me. So
yeah.
literally everything I do in my business, I look at it and go, am I the right person to be doing this? And if it's a process thing and it doesn't have to be me, I don't need to do it. So with our social media, for instance, we will sit down, me and my social media manager, and plan all my posts. And she will take the post from my emails or from my podcast, or so it's my tone of voice, my ideas, my thoughts, but I don't physically have to create that post and schedule it. She can do that because it's still coming from me. It's
Yeah.
just not, I don't have
Yeah.
to do that bit. So thinking about what is it that I have to show up and do and what else can I give away?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Teresa, we could go on
I
and
know.
on here. It's been an amazing time speaking with you. And marketing overwhelm is one of the least discussed items. There's so much about strategy and tactics nowadays, whether on the brand or performance side. But managing marketing resources or commercial resources is something that we need to hear more of. And I'm sure our listeners can't wait to share this episode in their private networks. But before that, do you want to tell us, where online business owners where they can find you, where business leaders themselves can find you, and even other marketers?
Absolutely. So if you just search my name, Teresa Heath-Wareing, the advantage of having such an unusual name is that you find me.
Yes.
So if you Google that, then you'll find me. But go to teresaheathwareing.com, or one of my most favorite platforms is Instagram. But I'm on all of them. So come and find me. Please DM me and say hi.
Yeah, please DM her quickly. She only has 30
Yes.
minutes. So
Listen, I'll stay on a bit longer if I'm replying to DMs. But also, I voice note DMs, so I don't type, so I can do it so fast.
yeah, that's true.
Love it.
Oh, all right, guys. I hope you had as much fun as I did. We have other episodes like this, that is just as fun and is just as educational, which is really the goal for this podcast. All of those episodes you can find at dotlovesmarketing.com. You can also check your favorite podcast player, of which I think there are only three major ones: the YouTube podcast, the Apple podcast, and the Spotify podcast. Um, yeah, please, till next time, stay with me. Until next episode, connect the dots.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Leadership Podcast, brought to you by Listen Network. There will be links to resources mentioned in today's show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.